You have to be the full package in the mountain bike industry these days.
Okay, my name's Eric Olsen. It's right here on this Outside Ink water bottle. And I was on the Pinkbike Academy.
Get racers and non-racers to like come together and just create a mountain bike community at large.
I was thinking it would be fun to go through and share some of my behind the scenes. I took some notes every day I was there, try and share what got cut, what didn't get shown. I have some opinions about the show, as everyone does who's watched it. I've also got Dan Pearl and Logan Patrick Nelson here. We're at Fanatik Bike Co. So delete, right? So this is something a little different for the Fanatik YouTube channel. What did I say before? I hate this. I hate talking about All right. If you want to see more of this type of content, let us know in the comments below. And if you have questions about the show, also leave those in the comments. All right. Let's just dive into it.
Full package.
That's my voice right there.
That's you.
I forgot that they put me right at the beginning.
In breathtaking British Columbia for season 3 of Pinkbike Academy.
It's a competition that brings 10 of the world's best amateur mountain bike riders together for a series of riding-related challenges.
We're pretty stoked to be here, and it's going to be a heck of a show.
I'm so curious if they asked him to shoot that, like, because he just like went over to the side and he's like, Christina, we need to get this. And he's like,
to win Pinkbike Academy this year, you're gonna have to do more than just win races. It's not a fastest rider takes all format this year.
honestly, they made this pretty clear right off the bat, and I feel like people didn't pay enough attention.
Nowadays, the most responsible riders are sharing their lifestyle both at events and online, creating interesting and exciting content, and building an audience for their personal style of riding along the way.
In the comments, they're like, isn't it looking for an EWS racer? And on the first episode, they made it pretty clear.
The whole package. Our judges will take all these
The full package. Oh yeah, they had that up on the mantle, and they explicitly said if anyone touches it, they're immediately DQ'd.
Wow. What is it?
It's the like trophy, the Pinkbike Academy trophy. There were like a few times where like, if you do this or if you go in the garage, you're instantly DQ'd from the show. Because they're setting up a challenge in there.
Let's meet our contestants.
Eric Olsen is a 23-year-old
Wow.
enduro racer from
Straight
Bellingham,
into it.
Washington.
No.
And when we say enduro, we mean he bike packed between stops on the
Yup.
EWS Continental Series,
Damn.
as if the races weren't grueling enough on their own.
I don't know what the Continental Series is, to be honest with you, Katie. That's the new one. She knew things we didn't. Katie just obviously wasn't told the right information. She's not expected to know about EWS, in my opinion. We'll let it slide.
It's Tarmo Rhiannon. He's just finished school. He finished 4th in an EWS stop last year.
Which is super impressive, and I feel like they downplayed that a lot in an EWS U21 race. Like,
He's enduro rider Timmy Falkenberger. He's got more races under his belt than he does years being alive.
I feel like they didn't even try to get to know Timmy. Of all the defining factors of Timmy, like, I don't know if he thought of himself as just like a pure racer, but I don't know.
Comes from Kansas City, Missouri.
Look.
And she's on a mission to prove that the skills she's built up
That's the same bike?
It's the same frame.
can be scaled to the big mountain.
No scratches. Good job, Amanda.
Brittany Falconer is a 32-year-old from Courtney, BC.
She honestly could have won the show. Really impressive skill set, and also a really nice, friendly person, and like coaches people and all that. I'm curious to rewatch how they portray her. It's like, she's a mom. Like, that's it. And Mia is real.
Sarator is an enduro rider who trains and races locally.
All the way from Sispany, Andorra. Ares Masip.
Mia and Erez are the homies. They are definitely the most in close contact with me, with each other, with Goli after the show.
Unfortunately, our 5th female contestant suffered a crash last week. She had a
Oh, yeah.
concussion. She had to withdraw from the competition.
Yeah, her name's Janina. She lives in Bellingham, rides for Transition, and somehow she had learned I was a contestant. I have no idea how she knew this, but she'd like sent me a message on Instagram about bringing a cake with me to the Pinkbike Academy for her because her car didn't have air conditioning. I don't really know what the deal with that was. And then she texted me that she had a concussion like right before. And I'm like, oh, that sucks, man. Like, and I don't really know her that well, but I was like, that's such a bummer. I did not take the cake. I should have, honestly. I would have eaten that.
Getting on Pinkbike Academy has been a pretty crazy experience for me. Got a very last minute call up.
Seriously.
I'm very fortunate.
He got called like the night before and he had to drive over there. So I can't imagine what a whirlwind that was.
Something like this in their lifetime, and I'm just gonna try and make the most of it.
When we first arrived, we were at the, I guess, like employee housing, and we were like, okay, cool, this seems great. And then they had us wake up super early the next morning, and then they had us all pile in this van, and they wouldn't tell us what was going on. We're like, okay, are you gonna drive us to like Sun Peaks, or are you gonna drive us to Kelowna, or what's the deal? Or they just literally took us up the street and then they opened the door and then had us like at this new Pinkbike Academy house. So this is when they drove us around the block to get to the new house.
Welcome to the Academy, you guys.
And then standing right here is like 5 cameras and like 30 people. And so that was like the big surprise actually, was we hadn't actually seen any cameras or film crew. We had no idea the scale. Just notice Elliot's face.
Check it out.
Oh, damn.
The funniest part was they redid that shot. And so then they'd open the garage doors and then close. They're like, wait, close them. And then they like redid the reaction from us.
Shimano drivetrains and brakes. Max's.
Which some of the brakes were from the past 2 seasons of the Pinkbike Academy.
Seen the garage, seen the goods. We're gonna come on inside. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to the place, and I will be living with you guys all season. So let's take a look inside, and please take off your shoes when you come in.
Wow.
They played this whole deal with goalie pretending like it was his house and we were staying in it. And then they didn't use any of it. And then they just like cut that audio in a funny way where it's like, I'll be staying with you the whole season. And he was upstairs. And I feel like they didn't play into that aspect of the show that they kind of scripted. I don't really know why.
This is the living room.
That chandelier was not real. It was made of plastic. I like climbed up on a chair and I was like, is this real antlers? It's made of plastic. Still cool though.
We have an amazing kitchen. We do have a live-in chef for all our
Chef
meals.
Brett. I was excited about that. I will be real with you.
You guys have a hot tub.
Oh, Dan, I just remembered something too. While we were filming, there was a Spartan race happening. It's like that funny like ropes course, like mud, like under the barbed wire type race. Yeah. We were sitting in the hot tub and we were watching these characters just like hobbling by and we were just chilling in the hot tub. I drove from Bellingham and then got there around like noon or 1 or something. Everyone was showing up at some point that day, like flights or whatever, and they had the big like tote with all our gear and we had to try it all on and be like, this fits, this doesn't fit. I was like expecting that they would provide bib shorts for some reason, so I only brought like boxers, but then they didn't. And I'm like really pretty used to riding in bib shorts, and so I was like, is there any way? And then they're like, oh yeah, well like look at all the bike shops in Kelowna, and because like a few people were like, we want bib shorts. Yeah, so day 2 was like moving day. Woken up early for what? ? I had honey bunches of oats and a Pop-Tart. Okay, then that afternoon, so we did ride finally. After like filming all of that stuff, we finally rode. People were getting sketchy. Like everyone was like trying to prove themselves and just trying to like flex on each other. And Tarmo was definitely like full gas right out of the gate, like trying to make an impression. Like, oh, I just noticed his compression is like almost locked. That's kind of funny. And then as people were getting really sketchy, they were really emphasizing like, you need to ride safe. In the past couple seasons, people have taken themselves out in practice. Like, don't do that. And then people still did that. That's Eris. She like crashed, broke her brake lever in practice. Yeah.
They really like that clip.
Yeah. Mia crashed. And then, Brody caught that tree and like,
I had a pretty hard crash.
I can't imagine how bad that would feel. Like you haven't even started the show and you've driven all the way like the day before, like getting the call, and then boom.
Taking a good gash out of the side of my hip.
Oh God, poor guy.
Bruised my chest pretty well.
I guess it's just a crazy environment to be in with like cameras already out. Like it's your first time there. You don't know anyone. You're riding unfamiliar trails. And I think they kind of said if you take yourself out in practice, like you're going to be out of the show.
So it's kind of a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Which just makes it easier to mess up.
Yeah. It's like shuttling with a bunch of people that don't know each other super well. And they're like, trying to big dick each other.
Wouldn't let you ride after he crashed?
No, they just called it a day, yeah.
This is the mechanic challenge.
Okay, yeah. So now this is the next day. They told us to wake up at 6:45, and then we had a strong theory of a mechanic challenge because they'd had signs on the garage that like, do not go in there or you're DQ'd. They'd wake us up, we'd eat breakfast, and then they'd finally sit us down and like brief us on the challenge that was about to happen in like 20 minutes. And we'd have to like read the rules and then like sign a little thing, which was kind of a funny formality that they had. Like also that morning, I woke up super early to go get the gnome the morning of this challenge. So that's day 3. But I didn't sneak the gnome on for the mechanics challenge because the bikes were out there and I would have been DQ'd if I did that.
Yep, you saw me in season 1, season 2, and guess what? I'm back for season 3. This year I'm again.
He's also married to the producer. But he still had to do the whole application process and everything the first season. And she still wouldn't tell him if he was on the show until like, anyway.
We're looking for speed and we're looking for accuracy. And the clock starts now. Hit it, Christina.
And that was actually how it was. They didn't reshoot anything. So the first thing you'd notice was that the front tire was flat, so you just pump that up. And then the rear derailleur was weird, and I thought it was a limit screw thing, but they'd actually just loosened the derailleur off. So I like tweaked the limit, and then I realized, and like I had to undo it, and then they had to put the chain on, and you had to remember that the Shimano chain has a direction to it, and the Quick Link has a direction, and so he just realized that.
And so everybody's bikes have the same issues?
Yeah, everyone's bike is messed up in the exact same way. Oh yeah, the stem was not straight. The final thing was that the dropper cable tension was too tight, so the dropper would just move up and down, but you wouldn't know that until you took it out of the stand.
We got a time.
4 minutes 30.
So it's funny how they portrayed that, because I'd actually got my bike done before that, but then they were like really trying to like, they were helping certain people who were like asking questions. And this is like a weakness of mine personally, where like, I was just like, cool, yeah, I got this, I've done. And then they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I was like, okay, well, I'll just like double check everything. So I was like out here, like riding the bike around and like talking to Christina. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like check this, checked everything, like super thorough.
I think I'm gonna raise my hand.
And so
yeah, I've got aired tire. Yeah, I've got aired up tire, straightened stem. That down.
they did me dirty, but that's okay.
You sowed the seeds of doubt in you.
Yeah.
Sure.
1 minute 25 seconds left, everybody. I'm raising my hand.
What an idiot. That's okay. But then it's funny because Christina calls me out as impressive in the mechanic challenge later. So I think it paid off. It's so funny because it's like subjective and there's results. Like there's times and there's everything, but then in the end it's like just how they feel about you. Or who knows? I think that's what it was. They just want you to be able to work on your bike, I guess. Or it's more of a character test, I guess. I also feel like they tried to sow the seeds of doubt in Tarmo, but he didn't completely understand the intricacies they're like, are you sure? And he's like, yes, I'm sure. Like, and then it's like, oh, okay. Which, good for him. Good confidence.
So the challenge day didn't go super smooth. I ended up dropping a link, and unfortunately,
he lost his quick link. And then Gully saw it on the ground and tried to kick it to show him. And he didn't notice the clue. He didn't notice.
Match is done.
Oh, I just noticed there was a fly on him. Get that out of here.
Wait until you see what I have done.
Or not.
Let's see your creation.
I don't know if he got like any of it.
I know I probably could if I got another chance, but that's the way it goes in a competition.
Like, I think he just looked for his quick link the whole time, which is such a bummer and kind of relatable, honestly. Like, happens to the best of us. Really wish I knew where I dropped that. Well,
You're behind it? You'd race this thing? I would ride it. Yes.
Oh, just noticed that he's got the like big bandage on his arm too. This guy's just getting destroyed. Well, we're getting into it. There was no elimination, but I guess they're already setting it up. Next episode, we'll dive into the Loam Gnome making its journey from Bellingham to the Pinkbike Academy, not in my car, but in Logan's car. So stay tuned for that. Key part of my success on the Pinkbike Academy. We'll dive into that once Cam notices it on my handlebars in the next episode. And she's like, I'm going to see if I could do it, but I wish you'd mentioned that on the show. And I wish I had too. I was kind of afraid because on the same day, I'd tried to literally just wear a Hawaiian shirt under my Fox apparel, and they told me to change. So I was like, I just want to get the gnome on there without anyone. Yeah, a large portion of the crew were French Canadian, so they could keep secrets really well.
Yeah.
If you didn't speak French. This is actually interesting to look at. Mark, okay, that's Mark the Shark. He was like lead camera, like camera one, and he had the like cool like backpack like cable thing that he could hook his camera to like stabilize it, and then he had a little shark fin on the top of it. So Mark the Shark. Nick's the guy who lives just across the border who came to the first watch party. He like followed me on Instagram. I was like, oh yeah, this guy seems super funny. He's just like really happy-go-lucky, like just extremely friendly guy. And he seems to have just a normal Instagram page, and then he has like 15 or 11,000 followers. And I think he's just done that through pure outgoingness. So cool guy. Mason Sean, the photographer. Tiana, yeah, she was the one who was just absolutely crushing it on the entire set. Like, I feel like she worked the hardest on this whole show. Like, she was, I don't know, she's like just a pretty petite, like, lady who's just hauling things around and just like moving like couches, and like it was awesome, and like everything. And then she was our momager. Louise Hatton is the one who, she's hanging out with Brandon Semenuk right now in like Mexico. They're like close friends. I don't know. She's a cool lady. She was in there a little bit helping Brody like off the chairlift. Ted Morton, he runs the Canadian Enduro Series, and he was in charge of the racing, and he brought his timing system. And then Kendall was in charge of like setting up a bunch of the courses, and he's like a really fast downhill racer for Specialized that does like the BC Cups, and he was super chill.